the unionization not being quite as prevalent as it once was.
Is there a typical case?
Boy, in the labor and employment area,
Yeah.
I don't know that there is. You know,
Okay.
You'll handle anything from an employment contract case to a non-compete agreement to a lot of what I've done over the last number of years, unfortunately, has been advising employers on how to reduce their workforce, you know, to do it legally and lawfully and as compassionately as they can under the circumstances with the tough economic times that we've been going through around here. But you know, it's all in cycles, and we've seen it before. And you know, one of these days soon, I'm sure the economy as it bounces back and the Mansfield community as it bounces back, we're going to be in the position of I'm writing some employment contracts as people are hiring new folks, and we're dealing with some of those other things. But boy, a typical case, it's tough. You know, I may end up with anywhere from an employee who's got a problem, they just lost their job, and they're wondering if they have any rights, to an employer who's dealing with you know, a wage and hour investigation by the Department of Labor, to OSHA, to you know, the occupational safety and health folks. To it's the whole gamut.
Jeff, I would think today, again, maybe sticking with the labor or maybe even general commercial litigation, civil, is there. It seems that the government, there's so many rules and regulations, so many things that, and I don't mean to be facetious, I don't know.
Right. Well, and you know, it's difficult as an attorney to keep up with those things. And part of what I spend a lot of my time every year making certain that I'm up on the latest too, because you're right. As those fields have developed and as the law has developed, we regulate ourselves like crazy. The government, the local governments, the state governments, and the federal governments all have different layers of regulation. And in the employment area, it's particularly true. You and I mentioned some of those agencies before that I might deal with, but there are a myriad of different things that are coming up all the time, and you know, depending on which political party is in power, you know, those rules or regulations or how they're being applied may change. And so part of what's incumbent on me is to stay up on that stuff so I can advise either the employee or the employer who may be coming to me, or that business who has a question about something else they're doing in the course of their work. Yeah. To give them the best advice I can. So, you know, I take a lot of continuing legal education. I try to stay up on that stuff as much as possible, and I spend a fair amount of time doing that in those areas in particular.
Once again, we're talking to Jeff Heck, a personal injury attorney located right here in Mansfield, Ohio. Few questions. We need you to stay with us. Once again, you're watching I Love My Job, and once again, we're glad that you are, and we're talking to an attorney tonight, Jeff Heck, who is a personal injury attorney. Jeff, I go through your credentials here, and they're long, and they're diverse, and they're varied. One of them I see, catastrophic injuries. Can you help us with that? Can you?
Yes. You know, unfortunately, you know, I don't like to talk about the details too much, but you might think about a situation where someone in an automobile or on a motorcycle would come into a collision with a semi-truck. And most of the time, those can be very, very bad injuries. And when I talk about a catastrophic injury, you talk about a catastrophe, a life-changing event where someone may be killed, someone may be maimed horribly, someone may have a terrible head injury and really not be the same person anymore. That can happen from fires, that can happen from animal attacks. We've seen some of those, a variety of different things. You know, that catastrophic injury just implies a larger, more severe, more long-term consequence type injury than maybe just you know, a rear-end collision where you have a neck strain or something. You know,
we like to think, and we're wrong, we like to think that everybody's insured. They're not.
No, that's absolutely true. And unfortunately, I think the statistics in Ohio would tell you that there are more and more uninsured drivers out there on the road. Ooh. You know, and it's scary as a driver that is insured. So one of the things I tell people all the time, and I'm not necessarily here making a pitch for the insurance industry, although because I fight with them often, yes. But insurance is a very important thing to protect your own family. And so I tell folks right up front, you know, I'm not an insurance agent and I don't advise them on coverage amounts. But they do see, after they've maybe been involved in an accident as it affects their lives, that, you know, if there isn't any insurance and they don't quite have as much insurance coverage as they thought, we help them review those things and take a look at them and decide, gosh, you know, I need to go see my agent and maybe get a recommendation on how I should adjust that. But the statistics will tell you that unfortunately an increasing number of Ohioans choose, again, against the law, to drive without insurance coverage and they put not only themselves, but they put everyone else on the road at risk.
Okay. Now, one of the things that we talked about at the break is the fact that obviously you have clients, you've got people out there, we've got people out there that can't necessarily come to 1 Marion Avenue.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think being local helps us with this as well, but one of the things that we always offer folks is, you know, at various points in time, people can't travel, they can't get to my office, you know, they're in a nursing home, they're in a hospital, they're extended period of time in a hospital or at home, recouping or recovering from an injury. You know, I'll go to them. That's part of how I view my job as being a compassionate person, is trying to meet them at their needs. You know, when people call me, they're usually in a state of upheaval, and I try to make it as simple and easy and streamlined for them as I possibly can. I'm here, I'm local, and I can get to them, you know, easily and quickly. And usually we get together with folks in pretty short order and help them begin to understand, you know, how they can get through a tough time in their life.
And Jeff, you've hit upon this, and I'd like to, I got a couple of minutes here to expand upon it. As a lay person, when I go to my attorney or go to an attorney, of course, I'm looking for someone who's going to listen to me. I'm looking for someone who's going to convey some compassion, some care, concern for me
right.
as an individual.
Sure.
And somebody that is kind of a pit bull, only not with me.
I think that's right. You know, I have kind of varying roles, and I'm not. You know, I don't consider myself a nasty person by nature,
sure.
but you know, I am willing to go fight for my client if that's what it takes. On the other hand, what I try to do with them is not fight with the client, but help them through that tough time. We've talked about that already, I know, but then again, be as aggressive as I need to be and diligent and you know, on it in the courtroom or when the circumstances call for it. And again, I think that's what every lawyer's job is. But it's sometimes difficult to find that balance. So I think, you know, just with my personality, I'm speaking for myself
sure.
here, but I think I am able to do both of those things. And I think that's one reason why our practice has been able to grow here in the Mansfield area over the last few years.
You want to give me that website again?
Yep, the website is www.hecklawoffices.com. And again, we're in the 1 Marion building at 419-524-2700.
Jeff Heck, thank you very much for being on I Love My Job.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate
what
it.
you're doing.
Thank you very much.
I'm Doug Thaker, and you've been watching I Love My Job. Once again, Jeff Heck has been with us, attorney, personal injury attorney. Give him a call. You need some information? Check his website. Call him on the phone. Go to 1 Marion Avenue. He's very mobile. He tells you. He'll come to you. You can't beat that, can you? No. I'm Doug Thaker. You've been watching I Love My Job. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week right here for another great show, one filled with information for you, our viewers. Thanks a lot, and good night.